Hey guys, so welcome back. Last month we chatted about the September stats, and in a couple of days the numbers for October are going to be published. But to jog your memory, average prices in the GTA were up 18% compared to last September, Durham region seen a 32%, and York region seen a 27% increase in price. Now you may be hearing these double-digit price appreciation numbers every month and wondering what is going on in our market. My name is Alice Prince. I'm a broker with Royal LePage Signature and a team lead for Prince & Co. If you'd like to stay up to date on the real estate market and the trends and what's happening, I'd love for you to smash that subscribe button and click the bell so that when new videos like this come out that you'll be notified. So I hear many people are frustrated with seeing these prices, and to be honest, sometimes seeing something that I don't really put much value on go for significantly over than what I'm willing to pay is disheartening. However, I think it's important to understand why this is actually happening. These significant price increases really boil down to a supply and demand imbalance. You've likely heard so many times that we have a serious shortage of housing units, and if we don't address this issue, the prices are still going to continue to go up. And a question I've been getting asked lately is, hey Alice, so how short are we exactly, and how many homes do we need to fix this problem? And today I'm going to answer that question and really quantify the problem with numbers so that you get a better understanding of the crisis. We're going to spend some time today and really break this up into two parts, the past and the future. So looking back at the last 10 years from 2011 to 2021, if we look at Ontario's population growth at each 5-year interval, from 2011 to 2016, Ontario's population grew by just over 600,000 people. And from 2016 to 2021, we've seen Ontario grow by over 1 million people according to Stats Canada. That's an extra 400,000 people compared to the previous 5 years. That's a lot. People need a place to live, right? Shelter isn't just a want, it's a necessity. And with those extra people, this is why we've seen a dramatic demand for housing. And with that, we would also need to see a dramatic increase in new homes in order to satisfy the demand. So that's exactly our problem. The rate at which new homes are being built pretty much stayed the same for the past 10 years. There's a lot of red tape that developers and builders have to pass before putting their shovels into the ground. So let's look at the numbers and really break it down further. So we've seen a growth of over 1 million people in the last 5 years. On average, we have around 2.5 people per household. Now, if we break that down further, that means that 1 million people with 2.5 people per household, we would need about 400,000 units to be built over the last 5 years. But we were only able to build roughly 350,000. That leaves us with a deficit of 50,000 new homes that did not come to market. And if you guys remember, we've seen a huge price hike in 2016 till now. So it's not a coincidence that home values are rising. The rise in price was correlated to the housing shortage caused by an increase in demand. And yes, of course, the low interest rates surrounding the pandemic just added fuel to the fire. So what can we expect moving forward? Now, obviously no one has a crystal ball, and to be honest, no one can predict what's going to happen in the future, but we know and understand the fundamentals of the market and how they work when they're in harmony and how they go awry when not in tune. So we can make somewhat educated presumptions based on what we know now. Some things to keep in mind when trying to gauge where prices will head is what's going to happen to interest rates, how will that affect people's behavior, is the government going to implement anything new revolving around housing, and how will that impact people's decisions. There's many things to consider, and timing the market is next to impossible, but the most important thing to consider, in my opinion, is you and your personal situation. And here's another thing to keep in mind. Ontario's population growth between 2021 and 2031 is forecasted to bring in 2.27 million people. If we've had a growth of 1 million people over the last 5 years, 2.27 million people for the next 10 years sounds totally achievable. So using the average of 2.5 people per household, 2.27 million people is going to translate to just over 900,000 units needed. Plus, we need to still add that 50,000 units that we were short from before, which works out to be closer to 1 million units needed. And that's why you saw all those recent headlines about 1 million new homes needed in Ontario for the next 10 years. And in the Liberal and Conservative and other housing platforms, they even mentioned that they plan to bring forth at least 1 million homes to market in even a shorter amount of time. Now, if we continue to build at the current rate, we would only be able to build around 700,000 new homes within the next 10 years, leaving us with still a deficit of 300,000 units for our growing population. And we've seen these price increases and what has happened in the market over the past 5 years with a shortage of 50,000 units. So a shortage of 300,000 units will have a severe impact. Now, I hear a lot of people are concerned with investors scooping up the housing supply, but here's the thing. It doesn't matter if the unit is purchased by an investor or an end user, it still counts as one housing unit towards the housing supply. Where the problem would lie is if the investors that are buying these units are leaving them vacant, because that would reduce the housing supply. In July, the City Council of Toronto has approved the plan for the implementation of the new tax on vacant Toronto homes starting in 2022. Now, they created this as a disincentive to leave homes sitting empty. Now, the many investors that I'm seeing are the ones that believe and understand how to use real estate as a vehicle and to build wealth long term and to use it as a hedge against inflation. They're not the ultra rich and allowing their homes to sit vacant. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, as I mentioned, the government said that they will be working on fixing the supply issue, but whether the increase in supply will be big enough to meet the demand, who knows? I guess only time will tell. Until then, if demand continues to exceed supply, how can we expect for prices to come down? I'd love to hear what you think. Share your thoughts, share your comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments section, slide in my DMs, or use the Calendly link below to schedule a call at your own convenience. Until then, ciao for now.